Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. This is Betsy from the Greetery, and we are 3/4 of the way through our countdown to the release of our first ever holiday collection. And I am here today to showcase another new set that's coming your way with this collection. And this one is called With Love at Christmas. And it was designed with custom stationery and beautiful Christmas cards in mind. So probably the main feature of this set is this really pretty multi-step poinsettia floral bouquet, which I think you'll really enjoy stamping. It comes together really easily. I'll show you a little bit later in this video. We'll put together a card. One of the things that I really wanted to be able to do with this set is to create some really neat folds on cards and decorative edges, and so I decided to include a couple of dies that will allow you to do that in the matching die set. Now there is of course a die for the full bouquet, so you can use that as focal points on your cards or even envelope flaps or whatever you'd like. But then besides that, there are also two separate dies that will cut only the top or only the bottom edge of that pretty bouquet, and that will allow you to create really pretty folds and decorative edges on your cards. You can see here I created this trifold card, and it just opens up to, I stamped a sentiment in here from the Sentiment Suite Christmas set, which is also being showcased on the blog today, and you can see it's just a really pretty finished look. There are a couple other fun things in this set besides this really pretty bouquet. There is a two-step little wax seal image, which is really kind of fun. I don't know about you, I love wax seals, but I don't really know if I like the idea of how messy they are, and so I kind of think this version is probably more my speed. And so what I did is I cut them from some lightweight cardstock and ran them through my Xyron sticker machine, and so I created these cute little labels. So this set would be super fun for putting together some stationery gifts for family and friends and loved ones over the holidays. Maybe put together a Christmas thank you card kit, which would be really fun to give as a gift. Also in this set is this frame, which makes for, and also the journaling lines. Those are separate stamps. They're nested inside of each other on the sheet, but they are separate. And so those are perfect for creating address labels for the front of envelopes. They coordinate with a die set that we're also releasing. This is a separate purchase. This is called the addressed die, and it's a 3-piece set. It comes with a little label which can work as a return address label, and then also this little scalloped frame and some embossing journaling lines, which will work great for helping you get your address written on the front of those labels. There is also a little label image in this set that coordinates with that die. This label also coordinates with the Avery 80 per sheet return address labels. I'm drawing a blank on the number on that on those labels right now, but it's the 80 per sheet return address labels. So that coordinates with those as well, which is what I used on here to create these little return address labels. And of course I showcased the flappable stencils in another video today, and those match up with this set just perfectly as well. So that's a really fun way to create envelopes that are just a complete, or projects really that are complete from the inside, from the outside to the inside, all the way to the very inside. So it's just a really kind of a fun way to create a coordinating, really kind of a boutique-like set. So let's go ahead and get started on this card. I have two pieces of 4 1/4 by 11-inch cardstock, one white and one mint green, and I'm going to put those together to create this trifold card. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the white panel, and I'm going to place that in my MISTI right in the bottom lower corner, and we're going to go ahead and stamp that bouquet. So I'm going to start with step 1. You can go ahead and refer to the stamping guide from the set, and I'm going to position it pretty close to the bottom edge of that cardstock. So the nice thing about this multi-step bouquet is that the first step is all greenery, and that greenery goes all the way around the outside edge, and that makes it really easy to line everything else up after this first step. So I'm going to start off with bundled sage ink, And I'm using my favorite inking technique, where this time I did do pad directly to stamp, but then I always go back with my finger sponge to kind of smooth things out. I've mentioned that several times before. I love the oxide inks, but they are a little bit heavy, so I like to kind of lighten them up a little bit by going over them with a sponge. And then if I want to build up the color, I build it up in layers by stamping multiple times with the Misty, which is what the Misty is just perfect for. Okay, so you can see I have my first step done. So we'll go ahead and move on to the second step, which is the detail part of the greenery. The thing to look for on lining this up is this large leaf over here, this leaf here, and then also this little eucalyptus stem right down here. So I'm going to pop my head in here and make sure I get that nicely lined up. So go ahead and close up my lid. And I'm going to be using evergreen bough for this next step. And I don't want this super dark, and so I am going to sponge it onto my stamp using my little finger sponge. If I want it darker, I can always restamp it. Okay, so that turned out really well. So our next step is the base of the poinsettia along with the base of the berries. And you'll see where that just fits right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and close up my lid. And this time I'm going to be stamping with worn lipstick. The next step is the second layer of the poinsettia along with the detail of the berries. Now when you line this up, a good thing to eye are these two solid berries here and these two solid berries here, and then also the inside of the poinsettia. And this time I'm going to stamp with festive berries. Our next step is this little flower right here, and you'll be able to line him up. You'll see where his petal nests right in here. For this flower, I'm going to stamp with seedless preserves, and I'm going to be using this color for both this base flower and the shading or the detail layer of this flower. And so this first one I'm going to do a little lighter, just sponge that on there. Then the next step is the detail for that layer, and that just of course gets layered over the top. So then we can do the centers of the flowers, which is this little stamp right up here. It's the same center for both flowers. So now that we have our bouquet stamped, I'm going to die cut this edge. And to do this, I have a scrap template cut here. The edge dies for the top and bottom edges of the bouquet do not stretch quite all the way across a 4 1/4 inch card, which works great for if you want to create like a pocket for a gift card, something like that. So what we need to do is just snip this apart for what we're doing right now. Just snip those edges. And then I'm going to take this piece right here and I'm going to line it up with my stamped bouquet. And then I'm going to take my die and I'm going to nest that right inside of there, and you kind of just wiggle it around. You'll feel when it catches in place. And then I'm just going to tape that down right in place, just like that. And then I'm going to pull that template out and I'll go ahead and run that through my machine. Okay, so I'm back and I ran it through my machine. Now I can pull this away and we'll see how I fared here, if I managed to get that all lined up. And I think it turned out really good. So then I'm going to go ahead and just snip this away right on the edges so that we're left with that pretty decorative edge. Okay, so now we're going to take our stamped panel and that mint panel and we're going to put the two together to create our trifold. So I want to die cut that pretty drifting pierced border that looked really pretty kind of underneath the flower. And so I'm going to close that up so I can get an idea of where my die needs to be so that my edge extends all the way under all of these cutouts. But I also want to see some of that piercing. So I'm going to just kind of mess around till I get it in the spot that I like. I think that'll work. Then I'll go ahead and tape that down. And I'll run that through my die cut machine as well. Alright, so I'm back and I have my die cut edge here. And I'm going to adhere that. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back side of that mint panel and just slip that right inside. Close it up and you have a really pretty trifold card. So then you can go ahead and add a few more details to your card if you'd like. I stamped a sentiment from the With Love at Christmas set on the front. There are several different sentiments that mix and match with the At Christmas sentiment here. I used the Just For You. Actually, I used several of them on this set, but you can go ahead and do that. And then I also added some glitter along the edge. And on the inside, I stamped the first step from the bouquet, the most solid greenery. I stamped that along the top and bottom, which added a really pretty finishing touch. And then heat embossed that sentiment from the Sentiment Suite Christmas set. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the With Love at Christmas set. It's a super fun one to play with, makes beautiful projects, and I hope you're enjoying this whole countdown festivities, and we are almost there. 2 more days until the whole collection goes up for sale in the shop at thegreetery.com. Thanks, everybody.